my name's not important. In my last video I talked about how I had the Canon EOS M50 converted to full spectrum infrared, and in that video I showed how it performed from certain light ranges from about 550 nanometers down to I think it was 750 or so nanometers, and I also tested the Kalari Vision infrared chrome filter. And while I'm very happy with those filters, I wanted to see what else I could get out of it. So out of interest, I went online and I bought a 950 nanometer infrared filter. Now this, you absolutely cannot see through this at all. You would think it's just a very strange lens cap. But once it's on the camera, it renders quite beautiful black and white images. Now it's black and white because there's no color information left in the image at this deep infrared cutoff. I will say in camera it sort of comes out as blue and white. You'll see some examples here. White balancing on foliage can remove the blue cast, but it was hit or miss in my experience. That said, even if you do end up with a color cast, all you really have to do is desaturate the video in post-production. Moving on to the test footage, you can see it's a very cinematic looking black and white. Deep infrared differs from your average black and white in that the sunlight illuminated foliage turns white, just like we saw in our other infrared experiences at different wavelength cutoffs. Compared to traditional black and white, there's also a higher level of contrast, and notably darker, punchier skies. As usual, if you can get some nice clouds in the frame, it will really boost the effect. Personally, false color infrared will always be my favorite way to shoot. That said, I've been very excited and curious to see how far we could push the infrared on this full spectrum M50. To my knowledge, 950 nanometers is the deepest infrared filter on the market. You could probably go even lower with custom astrophotography glass, but that's a rabbit hole for another time. In testing this filter, I've stuck with the native 15 to 45mm kit lens and the pancake 22mm f2. Focus peaking works like a charm for manual shooting. I also tested out the autofocus, and I remain extremely impressed at how well this heavily modified camera manages to retain that functionality. With a severely limited amount of light hitting the sensor, you'd assume a higher ISO would be in order. I kinda thought the higher grain looked pretty cool, sort of film-like. Faster apertures will always help, of course, but with a filter this deep you're more or less limited to shooting outside, and that's fine, because you'd want to shoot outside anyway. Infrared always looks way better outdoors in the sunlight. Now the maker of this filter is a very prestigious brand called Green L, which I bought for about $6 on AliExpress. And I can't vouch for whether it is exactly 950 nanometers. If you ask me, I would say it's probably more around 900 or 850 perhaps. But, you know, how am I going to test that really? So, I do have future videos planned, and I am confident you won't be waiting as long as you did for this one. I've gathered some more vintage lenses to test out in infrared, and I've also been working on a bigger infrared related project. I'll keep it under wraps for now, but I'm very excited to share it with you when the time comes.